If I could move on to the next question, and perhaps it leads on quite neatly, I suppose, from what we've already been discussing, but this is the whole issue of scholarly debate is not allowed in the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, and we don't discuss things with others. All references from books by scholars and other scholars are either faked or translations are mixed. It's similar to some of the other questions we've had, and all references have twists and turns. Zaid Saab, if I could come to you first of all on this. No debate allowed.
I don't think I can accept that position, because my sitting here as an Ahmadi is partly because of a debate. Not that I am a converted Ahmadi, but my parents were both converted Ahmadis. And I'll relate to you the incident of my mother's family in Kenya in East Africa, and their acceptance of Ahmadiyyat was through a debate that occurred in Kenya at that time, in Nairobi. Okay. Maulana Sheikh Mubarak Ahmad Sahib was a missionary. He was sent by the Jamaat to East Africa, and he was stationed in Nairobi. And there was quite a Muslim gathering there, and obviously there was much opposition to the Jamaat Ahmadiyya at that time, and there were two imams of the local non-Muslim, non-Ahmadi mosques who would bitterly oppose the Jamaat. However, the Jamaat and Maulana Sheikh Mubarak Ahmad Sahib invited them to a scholarly debate to come to the issues of their arguments. However, they did not feel that they were up to the mark, and therefore they had a missionary sent from India. His name was Lal Hussain Akhtar Sahib, and he was sent for this debate to Nairobi. And it was a debate that was carried out over a number of days with specific questions that were asked, and a large gathering would gather there. And my maternal grandfather was one of the people who went to hear the debate. And it was as a direct result of that scholarly debate and the answers that were given by Maulana Sheikh Mubarak Ahmad Sahib that he saw the truth of the Ahmadiyya community, of the truth of the Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salam, that he accepted Ahmadiyyat. And my mother, who was a young girl at that time, obviously was also impressed by what her father had told her, and therefore that is how Ahmadiyyat entered into my maternal family. And therefore I sit here and thanking that there were these debates going on, and that is the result of that alhamdulillah my family became Ahmadis.
So there's a very practical example that debates do occur. Jahangir Saab, this issue that we don't debate with others, indeed scholars, words of scholars within Islam we have taken and twisted and misinterpreted. Again, one of those allegations which are unfounded.
Totally unfounded. I mean, the debates, the scholarly debates in particular, started from the very inception of the Ahmadiyya Jamaat with the promised Messiah alayhi salam himself. And he was so adamant, you know, when they decided that they needed to have a debate, an open debate, a scholarly debate in front of the public, that even if I could quote just one example, there's so many of these examples where he challenged the people, but not only challenged them, he tried to make sure that they actually came to the debate. Because if anything, even in our own personal experience, we've seen that our opponents are always the ones who flee the debates. Then we're not the ones who flee them, we're ready for them. But often you'll find there are excuses, I've got something else to do, I'm sorry I have to go, or they just don't turn up.
Or they say they don't have the knowledge, and suddenly that comes up.
Yes, or I've witnessed myself, I've often seen people of the Ahl Sunnah in particular, when we debate with them, they start, you know, they bring street urchins with them, ruffians with them, and they start making noise, and they start behaving rudely and badly, and even threatening physical violence to the Ahmadis. And so they do all this, and then they leave the debate and say, we won, you know. So we know about debates, and we're not scared of them. Now the promised Messiah, as I was saying, in one, for example, in his book Asmani Faisla, regarding Mian or Maulvi Nazir Hussain of Delhi, and his pupil of Batala, who's Maulvi Muhammad Hussain, who we mentioned a little while earlier, the promised Messiah writes, he says, if Mian Sahib avoid the debate on the death of Jesus alayhi salam, may Allah curse me 1,000 times for being an obstacle in the path of Allah. And if it is the Shaykhul Kul Sahib, because his followers called him, you know, the Shaykh of everything, the Shaykhul Kul, it was a title he'd given himself. If it's he who avoids the debate, let there be half the curse on him. I was even generous, giving only 500 on him. Should he want to avoid coming in person, I can even allow him to hold the debate in writing from where he is, so that the truth can become manifest. In short, I am ready in every way, and all I await is Mia Sahib's formal reply. Now, then to say that Ahmadis avoid debates, here the promised Messiah, the founder of our community himself, is saying, I'll pay their expenses, come. Don't use any excuse not to come. Everything will be paid for. Even, can you not come? Okay, do it in writing then. But don't avoid the debate. And he said, if I avoid it, may 1,000 curses of Allah be upon me for doing so. So it's very unfair of them to say this.
Yeah, I mean, actually, if I may just say something, and I say current times, I have seen our own scholars here. When my teacher, Imam al-Rashid himself, has gone out and he's met Ghair Ahmadi scholars, and he's openly sat with them and debated with them. This is an unfounded claim. Even in Ireland, just as an example, the same argument came from a Salafi community there, which they said that Ahmadis are not transparent in their arguments. I myself invited all the Imams, 14 Imams, the Council of Imams in Ireland, to come on a particular day at a particular time. Same thing, we would provide the food, everything. But
how many turned up?
None. Question.
None of them turned up.
Well,
and just recently on our Jalsa Salana Ireland, again, we issued an invitation to them. We're ready, we will record it, and we're ready for anything that you will come. Again, none of them came. So this is absolute baseless.
Well, I think a lot of these allegations are put forward, but I hope viewers, certainly be it through the example of Hazrat Promised Messiah, a practical example of what goes on in Ireland through our missionary in charge in Ireland, and indeed the practical product of what a debate can do in terms of what the Ahmadiyya Jamaat is about. I think we've illustrated from the contributions actually the answer to that particular question. There are a lot of questions we're getting through, and again I thank viewers for the questions which are coming through, but if you have any questions you wish to raise with us, the email address again is faithmatters@mta.tv. That's faithmatters, one word, at mta.tv. And the fax number is 44 for the UK, 208 687 8037. If we can sort of go on to the next question.